What is going on, agents? This is your boy Infamous Trickster, and I just want to start off the video by just thanking everybody who's subscribed to the channel so far. You guys are showing me a lot of love and I appreciate it, and I will definitely continue to bring you guys division content, builds, and all those little tips and tricks that make the experience that much better. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking down a very special build today. Now, as you guys know, I am a very skilled build type of person. I like to experiment with different type of builds and play styles and that kind of thing. When I was leveling, I did only do pretty much just damage with the gun. I didn't really look into the skill builds that much, but once I did get to max level 30 and then 40 when the expansion came out, I definitely have been experimenting with a bunch of different skills, gear sets, and that type of thing. So this one is very interesting because this one here is actually the best of both worlds. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down this build that I've just gathered the pieces of gear for and the weapon that I was just able to get as well, and it really brings everything all together in this build. So we are going to be talking about my hybrid build. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be breaking down the weapons that I'm using, I'm going to be breaking down the skills that I have, and I'm going to be breaking down the gear pieces that bring this whole thing together. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it here. So let's start off with our weapons. So this is first and foremost one of the more important pieces of the set. Now with TU10 dropping, there are 2 new talents that have dropped. Now in this one here, we're actually using a named weapon called a mechanical animal. It is an assault rifle, and the talent on here is actually called Future Perfection. So weapon kills grant 1 skill tier for 19 seconds, and this stacks up to 3 times. Now weapon kills at skill tier 6 grant overcharge for 15 seconds. The stats on here aren't the best. We're currently looking at 7% assault rifle damage, 3.5 health damage, and 9% critical hit damage. That's the first piece. Second piece that I'm using is the exotic shotgun called the Lullaby or Sweet Dreams, whichever one you have. So on this one here, I don't really switch to it that often. I mainly stick with the assault rifle just because of the build that I'm using, but it does come in handy just for knocking out those red or purple NPCs. Core attributes that we have on this one are 13% shotgun damage, 11% damage to armor, and the attribute is 9% damage to targets out of cover. And like I mentioned, the talent on here is Sandman. It allows you to melee red or purple enemies 1 hit. Okay, and sidearm that we're using is the Technician Pistol, the Maxim 9. We're currently rolling at 11% pistol damage, 9% headshot damage, and it's got perfect spike, which works well with this build, but I don't find myself switching to it too often. But it gives perfect spike, headshots grant 25% skill damage for 15 seconds. This build, primarily you want to be able to make it so that you are using 4 reds and 2 yellow. Now the reason why you want to do this is because you want to be able to maximize your damage output with the guns still, but like I mentioned, this is a hybrid build. So what we've got here, we've got 2 yellows and 4 reds. I'm going to go into the gear and show you why right now. So the first piece we're running on the helmet is the Coyote's Mask. This is obviously just for the damage output. So this is 15% weapon damage, 6% critical hit chance, 9.6 critical hit damage, and the mod slot I've got 11.2 critical hit damage. Now the talent on here is really nice. It's called Pack Instincts. You and your allies gain a bonus based on the distance of the enemy you hit. Now 0 to 15 grants 25% critical hit damage. 15 to 25 meters grants 10 critical hit damage and 10 critical hit chance. And 25 meters or further is 25% 5% critical hit chance. Now with this build, most of the time you're going to want to be within 0 to 25 meters of an enemy. I will break down the reason why in just a moment. Let's go through the backpack. So the backpack, we're currently using a named backpack called the Force Multiplier. Now this works well with this build because of what it brings to the table. It's a Hana U piece. It gives 10% skill haste. It grants 1 skill tier. Now the stats on here, the attributes on here are repair skills. Now this is mainly for soloing content. So I usually have the striker drone and a hive to repair myself. So I have 18% repair skills, which helps with the heals, 6% critical hit chance maxed out, and mod slot's got 9.2% critical hit damage. The chest piece I'm using is a Fenris. Now, mainly because of the 10% assault rifle damage that it provides. Also, the stats on here were not rolled too bad as well. So we're looking at 13.1% weapon damage. Of course, more repair skills, 13.8 repair skills, 8.9 critical hit damage, and 5.1 critical hit chance for the mod slot. Now on this chest piece, we're currently looking at the talent, which is Spark. Damaging an enemy with the skill increases total weapon damage by 15%. Now, this is a really good skill to have because of the fact that your skills are going to be doing damage as long as they're active and as long as you're using them properly. So you want to make sure your skills are always attacking an enemy to provide you with this damage buff. And as soon as the enemy is dead, you want to make sure that it's switching to the next target. So this works really well with the build. The gloves we're using is Walker Harris & Co., which is the new gear set that is released with TU10. So on here, we're currently using 2 pieces of the Walker Harris & Co. We've got 5% weapon damage and 5% damage to armor. Now on here, I re-rolled the damage stat to make it a skill tier because the rolls on here were pretty decent. So we've got 10% critical hit damage and 6% weapon handling. For the holster, we're currently using a Cheska piece, which gives 10% critical hit chance for wearing 1 piece. And the rolls aren't too bad on here as well. We're looking at 10.2 weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, and 4.3 critical hit chance. And last piece of gear, we're looking at the knee pads, which is the second piece of Walker Harris & Co. It's got 10.1 weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage, and 4.3 critical hit chance. So we're going to get into some stats here, guys. I just want to show you essentially what we're working with here. So we have base damage on your weapon. We're looking at 96,671. Critical hit chance, we're at 45.6%. Now, you don't want to go higher than 45.6% because of the fact that you're going to be utilizing the Coyote's mask, and that's going to be giving you a lot of crit chance as it is. Okay, and here we're looking at critical hit damage. We're looking at 129.6% critical hit damage. Again, Coyote's mask amplifies that damage over what it already shows here. On top of that, you got the skills, you've got combined arms, and you have Spark. So those 2 talents amplify all of this damage that we're looking at and the crit chance, and it works really well all together, guys. And let's see what else we got here. But yeah, like I mentioned, the talents, we're looking at perfect combined arms and Spark. And then Coyote's mask is giving you pack instincts. And you can see here from the critical hit damage and critical hit chances providing, you don't need to go over 45%. Okay, and the last part I wanted to show you guys as well. So, looking at the amount of damage that we get here from this striker drone and assault turret. So I did a bit of number crunching, and looking at when you're in overcharge, I want to tell you guys the amount of damage your skills will be doing. So what I have in terms of numbers for the drone, the overcharge, the damage that it's going to be providing per bullet that comes out is 70,525. Now these are just rough estimates. I kind of rounded up and rounded down the numbers based on what I could see on the stats screen. But that's the overcharge amount for the drone. Now the turret, we're looking at base damage at tier 3, and it's giving us just over 49,000 damage. Now overcharged plus perfect combined arms, it's giving us per bullet 111,475. Now what we're looking at for your max stats when your Coyote's mask is active, and it's giving you the max stats on it. So critical hit chance, your 45% gets bumped up to 70%. So it gives maximum 25% critical hit chance based on the range. And critical hit damage gives you a maximum of up to 154%. So the damage is pretty intense with this. It puts up a lot of pressure for sure. And that's the part that I like about this. You're damaging, like I said, that's the main reason why it's a hybrid. You're damaging with skills and weapon damage all at the same time. So it really works well all together, and it just synergizes perfectly. So right now we're going to be showing the striker drone and the assault turret. So let's look at the drone here. So we're currently using this at skill tier 3. Now the reason why we're at skill tier 3 is because I'm currently in the technician specialization, but we'll get into that in just a minute. So striker drone is the first one that we're using. So right now it's given us 22.1 second cooldown, 1.6 million health. The duration is 191 seconds, and the damage is 30,000 damage. And second piece that we're using is the assault turret. Assault turret, we're looking at 22.1 second cooldown. Duration is 190 seconds. Health is at 3.3 million, and the damage is at 49,000. Again, skill tier 3. Now, what I'm going to show you guys is specialization that I'm in. Like I mentioned, this is the technician. So right off the bat, first and foremost, the reason why I love this specialization for a lot of my builds is because of the one free skill tier that it provides. Now before, it wasn't really that great because you would have to mix and match gear pieces to be able to still benefit from damage and do a skill build. But what we've got with Future Hybrid is a very good reason to go with the technician specialization. So one free skill tier here. Now you want to go with overclock CPU for the 10% skill damage. If you're using the mechanical animal like I am, you want to be spec'd into the assault rifle damage for the 15% damage increase. And obviously damage to drone skills and proxies and robotics is obviously a plus as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys why this build works so well together. So normally you'd be able to only get a skill tier 3 for this build, okay, because I have one free skill tier with the specialization being technician and 2 pieces of gear that provide one skill tier, totaling out to 3. Now what I'm going to show you guys is how mechanical animal works with this build as well. So let's go ahead and throw up our turret here. Now if you guys notice, it does show level 3 skill tier. What we're going to do is we're going to attack some of these enemies here and show you how it changes. So 3. Now also, if you look to the weapon, you can see a 1 on the side of the gun here. Now it's 2. And if you look at my turret now, we are currently looking at 5 skill tier. That's a whole free skill tier. Now we are currently at 3 on the weapon, so this is the 3 skill tier that we're at, and it boosts our turret to skill tier 6. Now that's the max skill tier you can actually get. So I think you guys are starting to get the picture here. So the damage that you're outputting with the weapon, on top of that you've got your drone and your turret assaulting targets. So let's see here. So you guys notice above the screen there is, on my heads up display, I have force multiplier providing extra damage to my skills. So that's 15% damage increase for my skills.
Agent requesting backup.
Now let's go ahead and clear this out here. I'm going to show you guys how well this works here. So what happens now? You guys notice on the heads up display we've actually got Future Perfectionist. Now both of my skills are actually overcharged. So for 15 seconds they will do increased damage, which is crazy to have on a DPS build. There's so much burst on this build that it's actually insane to go through heroics and legendaries because you clear them out so quickly with a good group. So let's show you guys again here. Now Future Perfectionist is currently on cooldown, but that's okay because what happens is my skills will continue to stay at skill tier 6 even though that talent is on cooldown. So as long as I'm killing targets with my weapon, my skills, my turret and my drone are still going to continue being at skill tier 6 even though Future Perfectionist is on cooldown. So this is very, very good, guys. I would definitely suggest trying this build out. You don't necessarily have to stick in a corner and throw out skills like usual skill builds, and you get to have some fun with skills and shooting at the same time. Now you just have to be cautious because this build itself is pretty squishy, so if you have a good healer or a good tank that's attracting most of the damage, then there's not much you really have to worry about. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this build video, guys. I'm actually very excited to try this build out. I usually stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, and I like to showcase the builds that I do. So if you guys want to check out how it works, you can see some of the gameplay at the end of this video, or like I mentioned, you can check me out on Twitch, YouTube, and Mixer, where I have these builds live. Okay guys, so that's going to be it for now. I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, Infamous Trickster out.
Spotted, Sheriff. That's the target, agent.
like you earned yourself another bounty. Well done.
Infamous Trickster Gaming